First and foremost, it's your boy Gage. So what it do, snackers and snackettes? Jokes is in the building, and so is Sin.
Yes, sir.
We got a very special episode of Loaded Snacks Weekly today. This is our Black History Month special, and we're gonna bring in our co-host. So, Mr. Henry Brooks, Joseph, you can bring Henry in. What up?
Hey,
what up, Brooks?
What's going on?
How are
What's
you?
going on?
What's happening?
I'm good. I'm definitely great. Blessed.
So listen, I just want to take a moment before we start bringing everybody else back in. Henry, you contacted us a while back, and said that this was something that you wanted to do. You wanted to do something for Black History Month, bring some people on, have a discussion. Talk to me a little bit about why you wanted to do it, and then we'll start bringing some people in.
All right, awesome. Yeah. At first, it started last year. Oh, not last year. Year before last year. Pre-pandemic. Sin actually remembers because he came to our first the Black History Month event, and that was cool. We had Tone there and everything, and Mike and MaJiK Mike. So we had a blast, but I wanted to do it again. So I was like, okay, here we go. February coming again. I definitely wanted to try to duplicate that experience, if not even make it better, by hollering at you guys and just collaborating.
I dig it, man. Listen, again, I think it's super important for us to kind of shine a light, you know what I mean, on Black creators. I don't think this is the kind of thing that should only happen during Black History Month, so we're going to try to keep that energy alive. What's up, Heather? For sure. Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead. I know that we got some folks that are sitting in the back. Let's start by bringing a couple of people in. Let's bring Mike in first off.
Dig it. Let's bring up Mike.
MaJiK Mike.
What up, Mike?
What's up, man? How you feeling? I can't hear you.
Nah. The mute.
There we go. How's everybody doing?
There you go. All right.
Marcus, what's up, man? I see you in the chat. Hey, listen. Mike, I'm glad you're here. It is really good to see you. We got to talk a little bit backstage beforehand. We haven't seen each other because we only usually see each other. Most of us see each other at conventions and shows and stuff like that. So I'm super glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
How are you? So, Mike, I know that Henry reached out to you and asked you to jump in.
Yes.
And spend a little time with us. Do me a favor. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, why they call you MaJiK Mike, and how it doesn't have anything to do with a movie that we know of. Unless,
right.
I mean, if it does, it does.
Just if it does, man. Listen, I will sign up for your OnlyFans. If
nobody
does, you know what I'm saying? I'm just, you know what I mean?
I appreciate that. So, all right. So I'm Mike, MaJiK Mike. I've been doing art since I can remember, and I've been going to conventions since 2015, and I try to be as diverse as possible when it comes to my work. I traditionally hand draw everything, and now I do a lot of digital stuff. It's really difficult for me because I'm like, oh, I'm on the spot, and I'm like, this is live. I understand that, but it's weird. It's weird. But so I started because digital age and everything. So I was like, all right, let me transition. So about 2010. No, 2011 is when I started doing digital work and everything. Is when I got my first little, touchpad and everything. So I started working on that. Grew, blew up from there. I met you guys at the first BlurredCon a couple years back. And like I said, I'm trying. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Through quarantine, I've been at home for almost a year with 2 kids, 1 and 3. So I'm be honest, I haven't had a whole lot of motivation to do a lot of work, but this tonight has got me motivated. So a piece that I've been working on is something different that I'm trying. I'm trying to do a splash of color, but then a portrait that is has detail, but then the detail kind of fades out and it kind of pops. But this is what I got working on right now. I don't know if y'all, there we go.
But hey,
Yes.
Joe, make that the big
Let's
screen
do
so
it.
everybody
I'm gonna
can
make
see
you.
it.
I'm gonna make you this. Just do it.
No,
Not me.
Not him.
No, not you.
there
I
we
gotta
go.
switch first.
Oh
There we go.
man,
Huh.
So I'm trying to.
Is
That's
that
nice.
Williams? Is that Williams? Big Willie?
That
William.
His name
Whoa.
Willard. It is Willard. No.
Willard Smith.
Yes.
So listen, I want to get first and foremost, I want to thank you for jumping in. We're gonna start getting everybody else in because we know we got people waiting backstage.
Sure.
You're getting a lot of love.
I
in the
appreciate
chat.
that.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you guys.
I see Kristen. They got prints of yours. Frosty got prints of yours. Darth Maul. Look, I own prints of yours. My kids.
Same here. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Thank
you
you,
know,
guys.
you got dope work, man. We love and appreciate you. We're glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
And I think it'll be important for you to jump in on this discussion we're gonna have about inclusion in the creative space and so forth. So listen, let's do this because I know he wasn't ready.
Do it.
Can you bring Greg Burnham?
Let's do it.
Bring Greg.
Hey.
What up, Greg?
Hey, what's up, man?
Can't hear
Greg,
you,
I
bro.
can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Are you muted? Uh-oh. Can you draw shells of Batman portrait? Hey, listen, Ty, get out the comments. How you starting already, Ty?
All right, let's do it.
You just got here, man. You know what I mean? Gee, how you feeling, man? Everything good? Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Wait. I heard him there for a second.
Did you hear him for a second? We getting there. First of all,
Frosty,
not
if you don't relax,
anything.
you
Don't
can
do
get-
that.
Man.
you
Oh
get
no.
kicked out so fast.
Oh no.
Frost, we still can't hear you, G. He said he's not on mute. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask G a question and I'm gonna answer his question. G, how you doing? Man, I've been all right. I'm just out
That's what it
everything's been cool. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
like,
I appreciate y'all inviting me on.
wow.
Yeah, I know you like children's books and stuff like that, man.
Oh.
Class, that's one of my favorite pieces. Yeah, you know, you can grab that thing on Amazon right now. And I did that back in 2013. That was young me, but you know, new me. I got some new things. First Exotica is booming right now. Joe, if you could just, I know you got a link for that. If you could throw that in the chat for people. That First Exotica is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So if you just make sure that thing's hot. And so in the time that you've been working, I know you do a lot of work with Marcus. Marcus, he used to do a lot of it. I don't know what happened. You don't know him anymore. All right, well, let's get him in here and see if we can
Bring him in.
see how that works. Let's
Boom.
Marcus, what's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on?
Oh man,
All right.
it's so nice to hear you. It's really
Yeah,
nice
you know.
to hear you.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Look, Greg was saying we do a lot of these, you know, but he's failing to make an impression that that's the truth almost.
That's what I mean. Oh man,
Oh, this is great.
Right.
so good. Hey, listen.
What's up with y'all, man?
What time am I supposed to be joining us? When you see him pop into the back, into
I'm
the
just-
chat, just let me know when he's here.
I'll just hit you and let you know.
All right, I appreciate that. Okay, so listen. So Mike, it's a little tough. Mike wants to know how you can chat to the. Listen, really, Mike, you just gotta
Just talk to him.
Yell
Just
at
talk to him. Anyone
Yo,
talk
No.
to
I
him?
mean, I don't want to interrupt anyone.
Nah.
So listen, here's
You asked about the Magic
Mike.
Mike and how the name came about.
Oh, and it wasn't from a movie, right?
No, actually, I got the name years before the movie came out.
Oh,
The movie came out, I think, 2012. But I got the year 2006. My mother actually gave me the nickname because I didn't have.
Ah.
I went to a predominantly white high school, so my nicknames weren't the best. Like
Sure.
Token, Oreo.
Oh no.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
I got that a lot.
And at the time, I was like, that's not bad. But like looking back, I'm like, that's pretty shitty.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a nickname. I think that was just straight up racism, right?
Yeah.
Just a little
But
bit.
it was also around the time of Dave Chappelle. So darkness, and so I would yell like literally down the
Darkness.
hall to like someone else and be like, "Darkness, everybody! Darkness is spreading!" And then I'll fucking like walk down the hall.
Oh no.
and they'll be like, "What the hell is that?"
Only black kid in the school is yelling, "Darkness is spreading down the white hallways." Okay.
You know what? Kids used to
great.
actually, they used to call me Cracker too. Believe it or not, because I'm mixed. But that's a whole nother topic. So anyway,
That's, I mean,
2006,
some of that.
at the end of high school.
Hey, Greg, can we hear you now?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Wow!
There you go.
I did that old school technical thing where I just logged out
Unplugged
and
it.
logged back in.
Oh, I was gonna say you probably
man.
just punched the
There you
computer
go.
and said work.
Then you can go into it.
My man. So listen, chat's going off.
Right.
So here's a couple of things in here.
I have not read that.
J. Robert Deans is asking Mike if you read Jerry Craft's New Kid. I
have
haven't.
not. No.
I bet J. Robert Deans will send you a link. I bet he'll pop a link in the chat because he's
Mhm.
doing that kind of stuff.
What?
Hey, so listen. So since we have the majority of you here, we do have one other person that's going to join us. Again, I just kind of want to state that tonight's show is going to be different. It is about. We want to talk a little bit about inclusion, a lot about inclusion, in the creative space specifically. I think that all of you as creators have probably dealt directly with feeling like you're not included. And I would say that, you know, we felt some of that same thing, for sure. But each of you kind of deal in different spaces in some way, shape, or form. So I mean, there's some things that I want to talk about. I actually want to start with a little bit of news that came out like earlier this week or towards the end of last week. I don't know if all of you saw about DC relaunching Milestone Comics. Did you all see that? Look at the smile on Greg's face. I'm not sure if that's a smile.
I've heard of it.
No.
I heard that it was coming around, but I didn't like look into it really. My whole thing is why is it? Yeah, I understand like it's DC, but why is it different? Why? I mean, if Stat like am I right or not? Like Static's one of those characters, right? A Milestone character.
Yeah.
So then why is it not included in the rest of DC? That I don't understand. It's like Milestone Comics. We push over here. That
Milestone was folded into DC. It was purchased by DC at one point, and essentially was folded into DC. And so
is it kind of something like Wildcats? Or like
sure, yeah, in a way, like how like Jim Lee with Image kind of pulled them. It's along the same thing, but Milestone Comics was co-founded by Black creators, and all of the characters were Black superheroes, and so it was a really big deal. You know, at the time that it came out, and I think that the relaunch is really designed to be more of a celebration of those characters and how important they were. And in a way that I'm not sure that they really were seen at the time by mainstream comic book readers, if that makes sense. So them doing a relaunch, I think really the bigger news about it is, you know, I don't know that the Dakotaverse is being completely segregated, but I do think that I think that there's a Heather, just to respond to you, I think that there's a want to see them not feel like completely secondary characters to the characters that everybody else has already known for so long. You know, we haven't really had a chance to see characters like Icon or Rocket get like front, you know, top billing in any way, and I think it's just an opportunity to kind of do that. For any of you who are on the panel, did y'all read Milestone Comics? Did any of you come up on them? Marcus, you did?
Oh yeah. And I guess it's a complicated story for the most part. I don't dare to know all of the details, but to answer the question of why they're being rebooted, I would say this is like, I mean, DC and Marvel reboot their universes occasionally because you have a generation of readers that have, you know, got to see this wonderful body of work, and then they make, you know, a whole new transition to say, well, let's reboot and start again. Milestone had a single, you know, introduction of these characters, and they folded. The company folded,
Yeah.
And it took the reason that you haven't seen Milestone characters is because in that folding and acquisition into DC,
yeah,
anytime DC Comics ever used a Milestone character, the creators would have to be compensated in them using that. So DC was like, we don't really got to use y'all characters. You know, we got enough. And so if you saw Static, if you saw Icon, which was rare, you were rare to see Icon, you didn't see, you know, a lot of other characters that were from those universes because DC was like, we'll just use Cyborg. We'll use Superman, and we'll make up a whole new story if we have to, but we don't want to really have to pay to use something that hasn't been, you know, shown in years, 10 plus years.
Yeah.
But the reboot, I think, is very strategic in the sense that I think the audience is ready now.
Yeah.
There's a whole new push for showing Black superheroes. A lot of what Marvel went through, which they were trying to be, you know, we'll show this. And it was just reskinning, and just blackwashing of, you know, characters pretty much and saying, do you like this? Look, we made a black version.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It kind of backfired a lot of times. So, but Milestone, they weren't supposed to be reskins. You can argue that Icon is a template of Superman.
Yeah.
He's an alien. Yeah, he's an alien character that got crash landed during slavery times in America. And, you know, he can change his look, changes his physical outlook. And he's just been on Earth since then and gets to current day and gets talked into being a superhero by his sidekick and so forth. But it's, you know, his power sets are very similar. He's absolutely strong and, you know, all this stuff, bulletproof. So his archetypes are similar to, you know, the DC universe. So, but yeah, I think it's a whole new set of reasons, we've talked to people at Comic Cons, young people. They don't know who Icon is. They barely know who Static is because of the cartoon. Right. That came out how many years ago? Static Shock came out when? I don't know.
99,
90s?
98?
Yeah.
25 years ago.
And there's young people that have never got to see that cartoon. That cartoon was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool writing. It showed a lot of great topics and stuff. There's a whole generation that have never saw any of these characters. So I think it's a smart move to do it now. Yeah.
And Static got a lot of love. I won't say a lot, but they got love in like Young Justice. And that got canceled. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, a lot of people just never got to see him. I think one of the more interesting things, and I agree with you, J. Robert Dean, Cowan and McDuffie, Dwayne McDuffie, rest in peace, was one of the most important people at DC for the entire time that he was there. He was responsible for writing and making sure that the majority of the DC animated films that came out were as good as what they were. Realistically, and there's definitely a difference in what has been released since he hasn't been with us from before. But one of the things I think is interesting is that so originally the Dakotaverse, a lot of the characters who were there got their powers in what they called the Big Bang.
Okay, now can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is the Dakotaverse for those who may not know? Like myself, who do not know what the Dakotaverse is, honestly.
I don't either.
It's basically where
it happens.
It's the city where they live. Like it's the city where in which all of these it's their metropolis.
Okay.
Did you watch Static, Sin?
No. I was in the anime and stuff. I wasn't watching. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be real. I thought Static was corny. I never liked the show. But I knew plenty of people who did, and I understood why they liked it. You know what I mean? So a lot of those characters got their powers in what they called the Big Bang, which essentially happened during a gang war, right? And now they're redoing it, and it is something that happens during a police brutality protest, which I think again just is something to help bring it in line with the times where things are now. When the Dakotaverse was originally created, Bloods, Crips, gangbanging, Menace to Society, all of those movies, all of that stuff, Boys in the Hood, all of that stuff was so prominent in that portion of the 90s. And I think it's super important to kind of rewrite it for those who would be new to it to understand it from a different perspective. And in terms of inclusion with the DC universe, I mean, I think it is going to help to make it stand out, make it its own thing, but also make it important. And so I really, when all of us, we all mostly know each other from cons, from con going and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get some feedback from you all on what it's like when you're at a con, specifically when that con isn't a blurred con, which is a thing all its own, realistically, right? What it's like in your creative spaces, your table spaces, to have people come to you, specifically to see your work and so forth. I'll start with you, Greg. You think so?
Can
Are you
hear me?
muted? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I'm nervous now.
Tyrone, before you do that, let's get Tyrone in here. Let's get Tyrone. Is he in the background
He
yet?
hasn't jumped in the background yet.
Okay. All right.
You gotta jump in the background so we can bring you in.
Come in the stage so we can pull you in, man. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Yeah, he good.
So I guess with us, like I guess I look at it kind of like we bring Atlanta wherever we go. We live in Atlanta, so diversity is. I mean, there's still the Klan's still out here too, but it's like some of the stuff that people judge you for, like in other places, we don't see that. So when we're walking around outside of Atlanta, we have the Atlanta mind state. It's like we don't really care. We're not here to cater to anybody that's not interested in what we're doing. I love it because me and Marcus, we've been working together a long time, and Marcus will tell you, he didn't always draw Black characters, but when he started, he never stopped. So it's like we go, like I remember some of our first cons, and I'm sitting here looking like, man, we don't have no white nothing on this table, man. And he's like, I don't care. And I'm like, well, I don't care.
There you go.
I'm just looking at it from the standpoint, like, are you gonna maximize and make your money? But the truth of it is, what we've seen over and over. I like to tell the Emerald City story.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have ever been to that convention.
Nope. I haven't been.
Love to go.
My rough numbers would say that it's 93% white.
Yeah.
We sold out of everything.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
That was after Black Panther came out too.
Yeah.
So I had Black Panther
It was like a month
cramming
on the
for it.
table.
It was like a few weeks after. So man, you sitting here hitting like we had people over and over like, you guys don't have any Killmonger? I'm like, dude, you might want to get some Killmonger. So like I think it was Saturday morning, this fool, I woke up and like this fool is gone. And I'm like, where's he at? He's downstairs at a hotel, like drawing
Cooking.
Killmonger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sold like 50 of them in like 2 days or something.
I believe it.
It's crazy. And so I think that because we come in and then I don't think that I like to say it like this. We're not alienating anybody with our content.
Right.
Like when you look at our stuff, it's not like, nobody does that. Like a lot of people are just like, wow, I've never seen this. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy you guys did this. In DC at AwesomeCon, we had a Caucasian lady who like started crying because of the diversity. Like she was like, I'm so tired of seeing the same, the same stuff. So it's like we carry that with us, and we see some of the looks that people give us or whatever. Yeah, we don't care about any of that. We've sat next to people who have been in the comic industry for 30, 40 years.
Yeah,
we sat there and watched them like staring because we got all these people at our table and all these people losing their mind, and they sitting there like drawing or something F these guys, Yeah, we've seen all of that, but we're totally focused on getting this type of content to the people that need it and want it.
Do you, J. Robert Deans is asking if y'all feel the same when you're doing like the Kids Love Comics part when y'all come to Baltimore? You feel that same?
We kill. I mean, I'm trying to be humble, but at the same time, we kill at Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore is definitely.
We kill.
I can barely come past and say hi to y'all.
I know, really.
You ain't lying.
And even one time the guys that bring us out, they're really great dudes too.
Yeah.
And they sat the first time they had a table next to us,
Mm-hmm.
and they at the end they was like, dude, I didn't know that y'all was doing it like this. They was like, from now on, you know, we're gonna make sure y'all get a table apiece, and we're gonna give you prime seat. Like, so they even acknowledged. And I think, like I said, our thing is we just want the people that want it, that need it, or didn't know that they need it, but once they see it, they realize that's what we're doing it for. And
did any of you, I open this to any of you, to Henry or Mike, did any of you all feel like a weight? Do you feel a burden to try to cater one way or the other? Like, again, like that kind of, Greg, you said something about, you know, that initial feeling like, man, we don't have any of like the traditional characters that people are used to coming and seeing. I'm not even sure we're going to be able to sell, you know, what we have. And I know that's not a thing for you now. But I know a lot of artists, we talk to a lot of people, man, at a lot of tables when we go to conventions. Is there a weight, you know what I mean, that you feel like you carry in any way? Any of y'all, one way or the other?
Like,
man, after what, like all the stuff we've been through, man, like I went to, like by myself, I went to a convention in Lafayette, Louisiana. There's like 11 Black people in the whole thing. I had, you know, I still sold a lot of stuff. It's like if you're making dope content, then you know you let the chips fall where they may. You know, like if you feel confident and you know why you're doing it, you just let it fall how it falls.
I dig it. I'm gonna get your response in a second, Henry. We got Ty in the back.
We got Ty in the back.
Yep.
Let's bring him in. Ty.
There we go.
Man,
he
What's happening, everybody?
He came for business,
There we go. Hey, right there with.
Hey, you can't laugh and do that because then you look like Sagat and shit.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
man, that's
wrong for that.
Hey, Henry, what were you going to say? Do you feel like any kind of burden?
Personally, yeah, I do. I mean, I make a lot of characters and stuff like that. Like I and stuff of a lot of characters that a lot of people love, but most of them are white. Like most of them are white, and a lot of times I find myself, I just catch myself. I'm like, yo, I don't have any brothers and sisters, anybody on the table. So then I try to like put it out there. So and I've been trying to move that way like ever since I noticed that.
Yeah, I mean. Is it? How about you, Mike?
Honestly, the way I see it is, I'm like, what are the popular characters? What are the characters that everybody knows, everybody's gonna like?
Yeah.
And so I'll go to convention. Shit. At my first con, I was like, I'm not gonna sell anything. I'm gonna I was nervous. I'm like, the only reason why I even went to a convention is I went to San Diego. My first convention ever was the first Awesome Con. Went there. I was like, okay, these are cool. Then my wife and I, we were like, we're gonna go big. Next year, we went to San Diego. And I was like, nah, too much. I mean, it was dope, but it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was there. Hell yeah. And it's like, but we didn't understand the magnitude from the original, you know, Awesome Con, very small, to the like biggest one in the world. And the craziest part is that, so I went there and I was like, you know, a little school kid. I'm like, hey, do you want to see my artwork? And, you know, I'm like showing people stuff. And, you know, someone's like, man, that's dope. Do you have a table? And I was like, no. He's like, you should. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should. So then next year they were like, oh yeah, it was the third Awesome Con, my first official one. And I was still nervous. I mean, I had a portfolio book and had every, you know, different print in this portfolio. I mean, they were heavy.
Yeah.
And, you know, someone's like, can I get those? I'm like, okay, yeah. bringing out like this big slab, and I'm flipping through. I'm like, here you go. And I mean, the fact that people just like my work in general, that gives me joy. I'm like, you know, and so the way I see it, I'm like, well, I mean, if I can get paid to do it too, this is not, it's not a job. You know, I love doing it. And,
I see Kristen in the comments is saying that both Mike and Henry, that you guys both came to them, you know, at Comic Logic. Shout out to Comic Logic.
Oh, yeah.
Rob and Kristen and the family over there at
Comic Logic. They put me on.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely put me on.
Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I went there, I went to Comic Logic. I literally randomly showed up, and I was like, hey, because someone that I was going to school with, I was only going to school to get to get the diploma to say that I was certified to do art.
Sure.
That's the only reason why I was going. But someone I was there, I was like, hey, so Comic Logic, they'll sell your work. I was like, all right, bet. So I went there, and it was on a Wednesday, which at the time I didn't realize was
New Comic Book Day.
Exactly.
New Comic Book Day. Yeah.
I was still new to
New Comic Book Day.
Officially going to the comic store and like getting comics and everything. So I mean, I was a fan of the characters and everything, and I knew of them, but I wasn't like a regular type thing like that. So I went there, and Rob was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And he's like, you know, he was still cool. And he's like, "Look, it's a busy day. Let me see what you got." I was like, all right, went to my car, brought it back. Boom, here you go. I was like, and he's like, it's dope. Since then, good, you know, rapport with them. Everything's great. And, you know, moving on, it's like, I will do a lot of the characters that a lot of people will like. From there, I'm like, okay, now I'm like, what do I like? What is it that's something that will interest me? And a lot of it is that it's kind of morphed into that because a lot of people know, they've seen my work, they know my stuff. So if they're like, okay, can you do this for me? Yeah, I got you. I'll do that. And then I'll do pieces. Like I have pieces that people are like, hey, can you do this and do this? And I'm like, yeah, bet. And I'm like, I didn't forget about it. It's just because I haven't done anything for such a long time. I don't want to work on someone else's work that I'm going to produce for them. And then it turned out like crap because I've been such out of practice. Like a lot of people will draw every single day. I don't really have the luxury to do that. And when I do, I'm like, I'm so out of it. I'm like, it's gonna look like crap no matter what I do.
Do you all, having gone through what's been happening with the pandemic and so forth, and that, you know, keeping us from being able to go to conventions and see each other regularly, do you think you feel like that has positively impacted your work specifically? Like, have you, like, I know for you, Mike, you've been stuck at home with kids and not really doing conventions. You know, we haven't seen Tyrone in, I don't know. I mean, I think not too far out from a year. Like we did a something around this time and tried to get some interviews with people. I'm bringing, what is Marcus doing? Marcus is
he making a lot of money.
He grocery shopping over there.
I was reaching for posters. I was looking for some posters. My bad.
My bad. He in the frozen food aisle right now.
What you doing? No, we're cooking and shit.
All right, so listen, so Ty, you bounced out, you came back, you're a little frozen. Can I hear you? Can you rap to me, Ty? I don't hear Ty.
I don't know.
Nah, you're a little frozen.
That smile was perfect though.
I don't hear Ty.
I know, right?
Wait.
I'm at a good spot.
Wayne Tech, they on it.
Man, get off that cricket internet.
Listen,
Can you
don't be mean.
See that bootleg stock tech over here. I'm good.
My man. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Tell me, what's the first, y'all remember the first black character you ever remember seeing? Like comic book character? Anybody?
Storm
like,
for me.
Storm for you?
Storm.
Yeah, Storm. Right. I would say Storm.
Mike,
because of the animated series.
Yeah, Storm. Same.
Storm?
The first black superhero I saw in a movie, I think, though, was Spawn.
Okay.
But yeah, Storm was
big into the Spawn comic book for sure. That was a big deal for me.
Storm was huge for me because my mom's black, my dad's white, and my mom has an accent. I don't really hear it like everybody else does. Yeah. And I'm like, Storm had a slight accent, so I saw Storm, and I would see my mom, and so it's like it was there. I was like, okay, so anytime Storm got hurt, I'm like, oh, for real.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it was weird, like for me growing up, because I would watch the show and I would place like, oh, this person is this character and this person is this character. So I'm like, my mom is Storm, my dad liked Beast, so I'm like, he's Beast, and I was like, I like Wolverine. My brother was Cyclops. Like,
oh man, you gave your brother the worst character. That's
Hey, that's who we liked. I was like, I mean, all right, whatever.
What about you, Marcus? The first time you can remember seeing somebody that felt like or looked like you? Do you remember?
Yeah, no, my first comic was a Wolverine comic. So Storm was, I think, and Jim Lee was drawn. So everybody looked attractive, but yeah, Storm I was like, say what now? She black and got all this white hair. This is amazing. But Jim Lee, he set that bar so high for me, man. So Storm was gorgeous.
Yeah, no doubt.
As the first black powerful, superhero character I've seen. But yes, not too long after did the animated series come out, so I got to hear all of those characters and fall in love with Storm as a character, things like that. But it wasn't. I think that was because I didn't have a comic shop. I don't remember having a comic shop.
There's nothing near you.
So I couldn't really, I couldn't explore many other comics from there to see who else was black. So I saw Bishop in the animated series.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was anybody else black in the animated series. Any other black X-Men series?
Not in the series. What about just in TV, like in cartoons or whatever, period? Like, I think for me, it was like, I think I told y'all earlier, for me, it was like the Brown Hornet, Fat Albert, you know what I mean? Was one of the first things I saw. And
how old were you at the time? Well, the reason why I say that is because
realistically, probably like 4 or 5.
And the reason why I ask that question is because when you look at the X-Men and when they came out what, like 92?
92.
Yeah.
So it's like I consciously remember seeing that. It's not like I think I did. Not like, I used to sit down. We used to watch it, So that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things where it's like, did you remember it? Like,
I get what you're saying.
Like
I get what you're saying, because that's kind of where I'm at. Because like for me, it was 2 actually. It would have been Storm and the Black Ranger, because for me coming up, Fox Kids, that was what I grew up watching Saturday morning, and of course those were the 2 prominent shows that came on during that run that I watched. So those were honestly my first 2 exposure. So first I
hated Zach. I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you. I hated Zach, yo.
I know you did.
Dancing Black Ranger.
Oh, that's trifling.
I hated him, yo. I hated him, and I hated that they made Black dude the Black Ranger. But they did that across the book. Like, it was just
they did that. Eventually they grew out of that. I give them they eventually grew his character out of just being the what was it called?
The hip hop
keto. Hip hop
keto, bro.
It was like
Billy Banks.
Hey, back then, I don't know how old.
Was not the first black superhero you ever saw. Billy Blanks.
Hey, look, but real quick though, in the chat, Frosty said hers was Storm on the show, and Spawn was actually the first superhero movie that she ever saw. J. Robert Dean says, showing his age, Luke Cage, followed by Storm, and a young black kid in the Invaders.
Joke is not 13.
Jumps is like 13.
Alice.
Dog, I was watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers original air dates, so shut your mouth. Original air dates.
Hey, Ty, welcome back to the show, Ty. Listen, let me start by saying this. It's really good to see you and have your name right there, because a lot of times, you're not the only Tyrone that's in our chat.
That's
and
true.
So the other time, now we can see that y'all ain't the same person. You know what I'm saying? So they don't think we just making it up and just be having 2 Tyrones in the chat in 2 different places. Like,
there you go, Marcus.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, Marcus.
Hey, listen, and I actually want to talk about that real quick. All right, so let me touch on this. Ty Carson said Black Vulcan on Super Friends, which probably one of the first ones for me too, because he was the fake Black Lightning. I didn't know who Black Lightning was.
Now, those are the reruns. Those are the reruns that I watched. Man, I definitely watched them at the same time.
That onesie he was rocking was
terrible. It's terrible. All the onesies was terrible.
Well, he had serious moose knuckle on that shit.
Yeah, I hated that.
Stop it, Ellis.
Ty, what was the first like Black character you remember seeing, cartoon or otherwise, like, you know what I mean, that stuck with you? You know? You remember?
It would definitely, first of all, Storm. I am a huge, humongous X-Men fan.
Fair enough.
I think also Spawn and Blade and the Black Power Ranger. Okay.
I think Blade for a lot of people too, because I don't think a lot of people realize that Blade was a superhero when that movie first came out.
Right.
You know, because Marvel had basically disowned that movie. Like, we don't want to do it. It's probably going to be bad. And then when it was good, they was like, oh, no, slap the Marvel logo on that. I want to shout out Marcus Houston in the chat said Piccolo was his first Black superhero. And I listen. I think that's legit.
Right? Listen, if he didn't say color was, because that way, I'm sorry, Raphael was the first Black superhero for the Ninja Turtles for me.
Hey,
if green counts, and or blue, then Panthro was the first Black
Panther was a Black
superhero.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about brown. But,
I feel you. That's why I was going, Miles. I guess Storm.
You on that dope?
Yeah, I mean, no, I really think I think that's the thing, though. Listen, I think that's one of the reasons why, I want to do this is because for us, a lot of times, inclusion for us meant having to place our color on somebody that wasn't our color.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I knew Panthro. Now listen, it took me years to figure out that the person who voiced Panthro was the same dude who was Bill Cosby's father on the Cosby Show. Took me years to figure that out, right?
Oh, for real?
Took me years to figure out that
He's like, I'm just years old. Like,
that James Avery, you know what I mean? Uncle Phil was the Shredder. Like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
For a lot of us,
if you want to go that far, man, Jones.
Right now.
People with the voice.
Yes, he was.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Yep. Look black under his.
He was today years old when he found out Uncle Phil was Shredder.
Right. That's I mean, I think that, we have come a long way, right? There was definitely a time where, like, for me, hold on, let me do this. For me and Sin, because we the same age.
Right.
We had Jazz.
Yes.
From the Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
We had Panthro, who we just had to assume. There was Clamp Champ in He-Man. Most y'all probably never heard of Slim. My mother made sure I had that toy. Roadblock.
Yep, I was thinking
from G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, yeah.
So right now, I feel like I'm the only adult on here. Y'all sound like 9-year-olds talking about stuff that happened in the 90s. Because I got Stalker. That was the first in my first set of the small G.I. Joe thing. That was my first one, and that jump blew my mind because before that, like I had seen, I guess, like the early 80s, like 1980 probably. Yeah, I had seen Luke Cage. I saw Black Panther comics. I'm old enough to remember. Marcus talking about comic shops. I'm old enough to remember when you could get comics in regular stores.
Sure. Also, speaking of X-Men again, I would say also Bishop. Bishop was probably like the first black man.
Hey, Marcus.
Right.
Oh, Lord.
Mr. Bobo is probably the most racist, perfect stereotype.
I was going to come back to that. Because we mentioned Piccolo, and every black person will claim Piccolo over Poe.
Hey, look, that little video I put together, Popo wasn't in that, but Piccolo
not at all. No, Popo was not.
He better not be, because he was blackface. It doesn't count.
Right.
That's pretending.
No, Mr. Popo Indian, son.
I mean, look, not just in characters and cartoons and in comic books, right? Like, I mean, you know, there were certain characters that always stood out to me. You know, look, there was one black dude in Police Academy. He made all the noises. That was my guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like,
what about Hightower?
Yeah, Hightower. Like,
no,
Spencer for Hire, right? We got Hawk, and then my man transitioned into Star Trek, and that was a huge deal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? To be a black captain. You know what I mean? Like, hey, listen, Ellis, listen. Is the first cartoon character that was a reflection of you? I actually probably I hear you on that. That's do you actually mean that from the WWF cartoon, or do you actually mean from actually watching the WWF?
Right.
You know what I mean? And WCW. Because again, it's not like there haven't been black characters in shows, on TV, you know, any of that kind of stuff. It's just that for a long time, unfortunately, those roles were written by people who weren't people of color, who didn't have our backgrounds, and it didn't always stick the landing. Most of the time, it didn't stick the landing, right? It was just serving up the stereotype that they believed in. And I think a lot of actresses, even voice actors, were in order to get the work, had to take whatever they gave them. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, I think we're in a much better position now than we were before. But I think it's more important now than it was, because I think there are a lot more people who I feel like are listening, and I think are starting to understand what it's like to see themselves for the first time. Hey, look, Mr. T too, like A-Team, that was a thing. Mr. T had his own cartoon.
Goliath and Gargoyles, he was black.
Goliath
was black.
Bro.
Yes.
I take the purple dude too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a big deal.
Does anyone remember TJ and Jamal?
Yes. I don't want to, but I do.
Sound familiar.
That sounds familiar.
I was ready to go on that joint just off the name, but apparently people remember, so I'm just gonna sit here and just be quiet right now. I never heard of no TJ and Jamal.
I haven't either.
It ran on it was the black version of Life with Louie.
Yeah. Let's
hold up. I have to look this up.
Oh, I'm looking it up.
Look it
up. What was it? TJ and what?
Jamal.
TJ and Jamal.
It's gonna be terrible. And listen,
I'm just saying, nobody's. Nobody mentioned the black captain from Cops cartoon, right? That was 88,
BP Vest.
89.
BP Vest.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
My guy.
Bulletproof. I'm just saying.
Saying.
Yeah.
You know why?
That was 88.
Because they don't
really do
remember
much.
That. They don't.
Yeah, he didn't really do much. But that was 88. That was 88. That went through 88. I think it lasted to 89. It was a cop. It only lasted 1 year. So
they did actually
88 to 89.
re-release that show later as they called it Cyber Cops and slightly changed the intro.
Yes.
It was the same show, but they did actually re-release Cyber Cops. Like, wait, Mummy's Alive.
And he was a cop.
Were the characters in Mummy's Alive? Were they actually Egyptian? Were they black? I remember the show. I don't remember that specifically.
They were dead, so they didn't really have a skin pigment.
What? What?
I'm just saying.
What? I don't. All right. So listen. I think the first show I ever saw that had an all black cast was that was a cartoon, was probably Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Which probably wouldn't have got TV if it didn't have Bill Cosby's name associated with it. Is it canceled? Can we talk about Fat Albert, or do we have to like act like that didn't happen? Because I still feel like it's important.
What about Rickety Rocket?
Rickety Rocket? I don't know what that is.
I don't know that one either.
I don't know what Rickety Rocket is. You tired of being old? Is that what you said? I don't know what Rickety Rocket is.
I don't know. That's bad. If I don't know, and then it ain't in the realm of Gage or Sin, then it's
I don't know about Rickety Rocket.
Hey, let me.
I mean, listen, it could have been something that was only on TV.
Y'all lost me with
y'all
TJ and Jamal already.
Y'all talk no
Right.
You're talking about Sea Bear and Jamal, right?
Sea Bear and Jamal, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I was finding. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's Sea Bear. I don't know.
Yes.
As soon as I saw it, I was like,
Oh,
I
I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. No, I don't remember that.
I don't remember it either. Looking at the pictures, I don't remember it. But okay.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what. I remember from my kids, you know, being older. I remember the Disney Channel, the Proud Family.
Proud Family,
Huge deal, being a huge deal. In Living Color, being a huge deal when I was a kid, because the Wayans were in control of it and were putting hip hop in front of everyone. And it wasn't the disgusting, terrifying hip hop that most of us really loved in the background. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, we loved it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ashamed of it. I was listening to Thug Love like this morning. But I do feel like now we're starting to see things like a ton of mixed couples on TV, commercials especially. If you remember a couple years ago when they had all that, Cheerios got, man, they gave Cheerios the worst time for having a mixed race couple.
I remember that. I remember that.
Huge deal. Now it's like I see it all the time. Insurance commercials, you know, whatever. I think we've come a long way. What I want to know, I guess, is what do we want to see in any of those spaces, in any of the creative spaces? What do you think? I'm gonna ask you, Jokes. You're young. What do you want to see? You saw more than I did. You know what I mean? Hey, yeah, you're right, Ellis. No, Sin knew what Thug Love was.
I knew exactly what that was.
And Greg knows what Thug Love is too. He was a Bone Thugs fan, even if he says he was.
Thinking of the Boondocks with Thug and Love.
Nah, not that one.
No, we're not doing that. Don't be so disrespectful like that, sir. Don't do that. Don't you dare do that. I will not let you slander.
Definitely wasn't that.
As soon as he said Thug Love, the music played in my head. I got that Thug Love.
Oh, Lord.
That is not the music that popped in my head when I heard that.
Not at all. Jokes, like what do you want to see in the creator space? Like, what do you think we need to have happen now?
Definitely just more of the representation. Like, I think we have definitely made great strides in seeing more of us in predominant areas. So let's take what we're in right now. It's like far as movies, like directors, different things in that realm. So good example, Black Panther. Now, had he not have been in control of it, who knows what type of product we possibly, now don't get me wrong, in Feige we trust, but who knows what could have potentially, the vision could have come through a lot different. I'm sure he was looking at it more of an eyes of from a black guy, you know, life and how things were, but had it been in another direction, who knows what we could have gotten at that point. But I think definitely us in those type of positions is what I want to continue to see, is like us to be in control of being the creators and making these products, just like the guys that we're sharing screen with right now, making their own things and then seeing these on those grander scales. Like, I hope one day we see like everybody's stuff as a show or a movie or something on TV and be like, hey, we know these guys and they put their foot in this when they started from the ground to get to where it's at. And everybody, like all the creators that we come across, you know, they put that passion into their work. You know, they get the recognition that we see, you know, on our stages and on our platforms that we can do. But there's still a whole world out there that possibly, like you say, a Tuskegee Heirs, that you may tell somebody, you ain't never heard of this before? Let me put you on. You ain't heard my man MaJiK Mike? Let me put you on. Like, it's still room for opportunity. I'm keep it real
with you right now. I think more people know Tuskegee Heirs than know Rickety Rocket. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Rickety Rocket was like 19.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a generational thing. That's a generational thing. That's logical.
At least 4 of the panelists agree with that on here right now.
I see Doctor Who in there. Like, she know about Rickety Rocket. You can have it. We the same age. I don't, you know, but that's cool. I'm with it.
Well, what happened is, if you think about, because we mentioned Dwayne McDuffie. Dwayne McDuffie said something that a lot of people still don't know, which is the rule of three in the mainstream industry. The rule of three, as Dwayne McDuffie described it, is, think of any major TV show, movie, cartoon, comic book roster, and count how many main Black cast characters you have in the foreground. Like, they have to be main characters, not support. As long as it doesn't break the number 3, as long as you don't go beyond 3, then it's for everybody can enjoy it. It's every white people, anybody. Right. 3. Well, if you look at it, look at Avengers today. Count how many Avengers you have in the main cast, the actual superhero Avenger characters. Rhodey, Falcon, Black Panther.
Yeah, Gamora doesn't count.
Avenger characters. No, she doesn't count.
Gamora doesn't count.
No, Gamora doesn't count. And so now reverse that and say,
right?
But if you're talking about what needs to be shown today, is so me and Greg thought about, like, if you look at this poster behind me, 5 young Black teenagers doing sci-fi, action adventure, historical, comedy. It's like a hybrid.
It breaks all the rules.
We pitched this concept. Well, it doesn't. We're not doing anything that hasn't been shown to us. It's just never been shown 5 young Black characters. Well, we've seen the opposite: 5 white characters, 5, and, and it's okay. Nobody blinks an eye. But if we pitch this, well, do they all have to be Black, or things like that happen? But that's when you say what needs to be shown, or what's the goal of it, is to say you normalize this the same way the opposite is normalized.
Indeed.
And then have a token white character and behind, the 5, which is that's cool. Look, don't break the rule of 3 for the white folks then, and see what happens. Can we reverse the Avengers and it not be just a BET version or some stuff?
And
you know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't feel like that. Milestone.
How he's talking about Avengers. Like, for me, go back. Power Rangers. So when the switch was made in the seasons from Zeo to Turbo, the typical characters stayed there, but they ended up shifting the characters in Turbo like halfway through, and we got TJ.
We got TJ as the red
Power Rangers, the leader of the team. So that was one of those super standout moments for me that I was like, whoa, I'm in the Red Ranger suit. Like, and of course, he got the hand down from, by far, the best Ranger of the time, Tommy, who passed that torch on to him. And that was, for me, that was one of the huge things. Like, from, at that time, the greatest Ranger, and this dude, stop it, Ellis. Stop it, Ellis. No. No. This is my prime. Stop it. I watch these Jones every Saturday live. Hey, I will tell you, some of them seasons had cliffhangers on them Jones. And them Jones pissed me off as a kid.
Yes, they did.
But no, Ty back me up. Dude, I watched all them Jones in my prime. But TJ switching over and, becoming the leader. And within the seasons, as of course, I've watched Power Rangers a good chunk of the way through before I eventually fell off and got back on. But I would say out of all the seasons, there's probably only been 4 Black leaders probably throughout the whole entire series.
Oh, Lord.
Get him, J. Robert.
No.
Had him stop
Get him.
Yeah, I am the Power Ranger. I appreciate that, J. Roberts.
He's still 13.
He's not 13.
Hey, fine. I'm immortal then, and I'll stay this way. Marcus, don't start. Marcus, don't start, Marcus.
Okay, I want to piggyback on this stuff.
Grown ass.
I want to address. Ellis said he thinks we need more Moonlight level products. It literally went head to head with La La Land, matched and exceeded the excellence to the point where backlash was low because it couldn't be contested. I would agree with that. What you got? What you got, Ty?
So
Ty got his hand up. Yes,
So backlash, because being the film guy, backlash was a student film. Like, we have to remember that. Like, yes, it had so much potential, and it was to me, it was such a better film than La La Land. And I'm the guy that's been through singing, acting, dancing, directing, film, all of those things.
Yeah.
Backlash was a lot better than La La Land.
I dig it.
But it didn't have the funding. It didn't, so yes, but no. It's in its own different category
I think what he's
financially.
saying is that the movie Moonlight, in terms of going head to head with La La Land, didn't receive the kind of backlash you normally see, that kind of pushback. That Moonlight didn't receive backlash, not specifically backlash the film, but that
Right.
Moonlight didn't receive the kind of backlash that, you know, you get the moment somebody says somebody black might be getting ready to be 007. You know what I mean? Oh, woe is me. You know, that tends to upset people. Hey, listen, Ellis sent you a message.
Yeah, no, I already pulled it up. It's a bunch of the Power Rangers on VHS. But the thing is, here's the thing: I own them. Yes, I do have them. I have the whole of the original 5 episodes that were, and this was when they were like 1 episode to a damn VHS thing at the time.
Bro.
Had the whole Green Ranger, all 5 of them Jones together.
Nobody cares, dog. It's like, nah.
Shut your mouth. Ty cares down there. Shut your mouth.
Remember,
you will not blast.
Well, speaking of black representation, just in things and what went well and what didn't. So I just caught up and finished as of 2 days ago Star Trek Discovery. I was stupid excited to see it because I was like, oh wait, a black woman is the main character?
Right.
I need it now.
Right. Does it pass the rule of 3?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Right. I mean, again, that's a lot of, I think, what Marcus is getting at is that
we're almost there. Actually, I had to stand here and count there for a second of all the black people that are actually on the main bridge, and we are at 3.
It's at 3. By the end of the series, we're at 3.
We're
like
at 3.
most of the series is 2.
I mean, it's like surgical with it. Dwayne Duffy was like, it was a bomb that he dropped on, because a token is acceptable. 1.
Correct.
So you'll get 5 and 1 black, and that's acceptable.
Sure.
Nobody bats an eye like, wow, this is unbalanced. No one does that.
Right.
But reverse that. And as soon as you get past 3, the rest of the rule is, now the industry said that this must be for a black audience.
Yeah.
Correct.
And also, this is a black show.
Yeah, it's marketed
if you
black people, like the money that they put in, advertising, like all of that is, you know, you're gonna get Cult 45.
Yeah, even shows I feel like that had, if you look, like I came up like New York Undercover. I don't think there's 3 black characters in that, even though it was super hip hop. You know what I mean?
But it was still marketed like it wasn't.
Towards us, it was.
Yeah. So
it was. That's what I'm saying. It was still marketed towards us.
Right. So,
but
it doesn't.
Even that, I don't think had the rule of 3.
The issue and the problem comes when you have more than 3, and I think this is ultimately the stigma that we have to move past. This is my issue as a writer and a creator. When you have more than 3 black main characters, it's either a black thing, or it's so heavily urban, that, like the Boondocks, that it's almost making fun of the black experience.
Right.
Like, you got more than 3 black people. Almost every character in the Boondocks is black, except for I think 3 white people.
Right.
But it's so heavily making fun of the black culture and the black experience that it even turns some black people off, because it's just like, oh, it's just MF this and N that and B this.
Well,
and
see,
it's like, well, we're more than just that one dimension. And I think that is the thing that we have to move past and break through. That's the real stigma.
Correct. What were you going to say, Henry?
That's why I think that that nobody was ready for Lovecraft Country when they dropped Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country was like everything that y'all saying, like amplified. And and I mean like the making fun of and the joking of stuff around with it. You don't get it. You didn't get a lot of that. You got a lot of seriousness, but then they mixed it up with the hip hop and everything. You had the Cardi B song up in there and everything like that. But that was yeah. When that show dropped, I don't think, especially white folks, because I think a lot of white folks just want their little dose of blackness and stuff in their shows, and especially the back in the day history and stuff. They like the little dose of it. They don't want it thrown up in their face. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like you just flooded the whole thing with it, and they don't really want to see it.
Well, on that same note, that's why a lot of black people nowadays are on social media. It's just like, oh no, you don't have any black friends. You just so happen to know a black person. Those are two different things. Because if you had a black friend, you would know that this is who we are, and this is real stuff. Like sundown towns are a thing. Oh, but you don't want to pay attention to that. You want to see. You would just want to hear the music, eat the food, and do the dances. That's
now. I gotta mention, it's not true. The industry is they perpetuate that's the truth. Once you get four main characters, oh, this must be for black. That's not true.
That's not
because they just want you to. They perceive that that's what's happening, or that's what they think the industry wants. But that's not true. It's not real. People will watch a good show. That's why the Cosbys was successful for every audience tuned into the Cosbys.
Correct.
They tried to market it to a black audience, but there's white families that sat in front of the Cosbys. Asian families, everybody.
Fresh Prince too.
Fresh Prince too. The industry wants, the
Cosbys were so educated and so popular.
Yeah, it's not true. You can put 5 black characters and it'll be fine. We've gone into classrooms, elementary, all the way up to high school. None of those kids give 2 licks of it's not to say they don't care. We have 2 dark-skinned. We got 2 dark-skinned characters in Tuskegee Heirs.
Right.
And I've literally witnessed this more than 5 times in 5 different schools, elementary. The kids will point out the darkest kid in the class. You'll be like, yo, that look like you, Joshua.
Wow.
And literally they're talking about Omar. He's a dark-skinned character. And the kid isn't ashamed. He's like, wow. Yeah, it does look like me. That does look like me.
That's what's up.
There you go.
Genesis is a dark-skinned character. And we have a 50-year-old plus 50-plus-year-old cosplayer who showed up in, what was it, AwesomeCon. We were doing a panel in AwesomeCon, and she almost, was brought to tears. Greg, what was she saying? She said this was
she was in tears when we were done, and so I'm like, oh man, Marcus must have done something wrong. So we're talking with her, and she's just saying how she resonated so much. She wishes that she could have seen Genesis when she was a kid. She has classes. She has, and she like telling us, I'm going to cosplay as her, and I'm going to send you guys pictures and all of this. And she made a cosplay. It's dope. She's in her 60s.
Man, that's cool as hell.
You guys have probably seen her because she's always at Blurred Con and some of the other ones that we see each other at. But like that, just the fact, like what Marcus is saying is really true. Like the industry is going to, tell you a certain thing. They're going to tell you, if spending a big budget on a black movie is not, financially responsible because black people don't like anime or black, like they literally say this stuff.
Who said that?
Listen,
people do say it, but
listen,
like what the hell?
Like the people that make
what black people are they surveying?
These people are like the least creative. They want to take the least amount of risks as possible. They'll literally tell you black people aren't into sci-fi.
They ain't met no black people.
They'll tell you all this stuff, and so many of us walk around, believing it, even though that's all we look at. It's all So
that's a good point.
I want to say something on that because I'm just kind of thinking back on what the both of you just said, and what we were talking about is just like, what is our representation? And as a creator, and I write fantasy, and now I'm writing sci-fi. I don't know who the hell thought that was a good idea, but but one of the things that I've been focusing on is having, like we talked about Piccolo. We all agree that Piccolo is black, even though he is physically not a black person.
Right.
Having that black persona, but everyone can still enjoy him because he's not actually black.
Right.
And having these whimsical characters or whatever, these aliens, these people or things of different races, and when I say races, as in like not human,
alien, yeah.
Like, can I have my culture or my personality represented without having the stigma of their brown skin
right
layered on top of it?
Right.
And I think that's where us as creators get to really have a voice, and it's like it would be so great for the creator of Dragon Ball Z to like stand up at a comments like, of course Piccolo's black, what are y'all talking about? But that's not going to happen. But like we can all agree that Piccolo is black.
Sure. I mean, I think you know, Doctor Who, you know, she said she hid her female sci-fi horror geekery left for almost 30 years because she thought she was alone. And here's what's crazy. We went to school together. You know what I mean? I didn't really hide mine. You know what I mean? But I didn't know that she was interested in any of that kind of stuff. Like we went to high school together. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know. And I didn't really have to hide it because all of my friends were into it. I mean, they're all artists. They're all, you know what I mean? They're artists and they drew and stuff like that. And so you could kind of get away with being in love with that kind of stuff if you were a creator. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily cool to like it just because you liked it. But all of my friends, they drew or they wrote or they did something. You know what I mean? And that probably gave me, because we went to an all black high school. Like, and when I say all black, my high school was super black.
Same.
Like, listen.
Well, yeah, I forgot y'all were from the same city. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Like
oh, not us.
And so,
not me.
You could probably, honestly, count.
On one hand.
On two hands, maybe.
Maybe.
The total number of white
non-black
people or non-black period, like on two hands in our school. And real talk, like, and our school was large. There's like my graduating high school class was like 900 kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm right
You
there.
know what I mean? Like we wasn't a small school, but our entire areas like that.
Yep.
Like
the entire county.
Yeah, we live in what is known as literally the most affluent, the richest black county in the entire country.
Yep.
Okay. And as rich as we are, it's some real hood here.
What?
It's some real hood.
Bruh, just go around the corner. Here. It's like you leave from here, go like 5 minutes down the street, and you're just total opposite.
You can spit to Southeast DC.
Real talk, Marcus. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm gonna assume it's true. I appreciate that. I have known Marcus since he was a small child, for real. Hey,
I will say, actually, I will say to a certain degree, as like I'll agree with him on that, because me growing up, like, it's no surprise. Me and Gage have both worked in retail like pretty much forever. Before I started working in retail, this was the guy that pretty much helped me out when it came time for whether it was media, entertainment, or if it was like a piece of hardware that I needed. This was the guy that I went to, and eventually I didn't start working. If I came to him one day, I was just like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, I got a job here with you." He was just like, "Wait, what?" Like, I thought you were just sitting here shopping. Like, no, I wasn't here for an interview. I got a job here.
Working. Yeah. You're still growing up.
Hey, I'm still growing up. Hey, and I'm still learning, which is the best thing about it.
There you go.
Real talk though, I think you should never stop learning. Here's the thing.
Never.
Like,
True that.
I think right now we're in a place. I think all of you are right in terms of like what we need to see. You know, is for us. I think part of what's happened is I look at like what's happening with the MCU and go, that's because now the people who are in control are people who grew up reading the comic books, people who are actually into it, people who actually cared. They grew up drawn and wanting to do that, right? And you're starting to see those people lead animation and those people write the stories, and you know what I mean? And so it feels like it's us, like it's our family, it's our geekdom anyway. But in order for us to get realistic stories that feel like they're actually ones that we can see ourselves in, right? Because I've said this before. I think I didn't know it when I was 4, 3 or 4, and fell in love with Spider-Man, but that I identified with Spider-Man because as a superhero, he was the only one that was covered from head to toe. I could see myself being Spider-Man and I was never in love with Peter Parker. I knew Spider-Man was Peter Parker, right? But that something about Spider-Man, I think, that stuck with me as a kid was the fact that I could go be Spider-Man because nobody knew.
Nobody would know
who he was. And there is something to be said for the fact that Spider-Man as a character that covered his face from head to toe was also looked at as a villain. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, you kind of feel that way as a youth. You know what I mean? You don't always feel like people, no matter how let's quote this, well behaved, you might be. You can go into a circle where you are the criminal in the group. You know what I mean? No matter what. And when it comes to, my oldest daughter did some acting, was in some shows and stuff like that. And you see it like the way that Hollywood, when they send out, we're looking for people that fit this look, this particular, you know what I mean? We're looking for somebody that can be, and because my oldest daughter is mixed, she looked like all types of stuff. And you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna keep, she looked like all types. She could be Hispanic. She could be Asian.
I get that all the time.
Like it's one of those things where like, so they can safely cast her. Like she would get roles in commercials and stuff like that because they could safely cast her and maybe find somebody that could do her hair. Maybe, you know what I mean? But she would never be token. You know what I mean? She just was. Thank you, Kristen. I just, when you see those kind of like casting calls, you know what I mean, that are very specific about we're looking for somebody who looks like this. Instead of just saying we're looking for an actor because we're shooting a commercial about toys. Like that's all it is. We're just doing toys. Ty has it. Yes, Tyrone.
I know. There's so many things. There's so many things.
I'm just saying.
So many things. As someone who has worked in film, and as someone who ran a film festival and did all those things, I would never want to be the person that whose job was to do casting.
Sure.
Because you have to stereotype people. And that sucks.
That's true. And I'd be biased all day. Yep.
Like as the writer, I'm like, shit, like let you imagine whoever you think that character looks like. I know what they look like, but I'm gonna let you just imagine. But when you start casting in film and you start having to have representation, you have to be, sometimes, majority of the time, at least as of right now, you have to be very specific, like Get Out, the film Get Out. You have to be specific as to who you're casting.
Sure.
There was that.
Let me ask a question to either one of you, Greg or Marcus. Let's just say that whomever decides to green light Tuskegee Heirs as an animated project, right? Would it matter to you if the people playing the characters were people of color? Does it have to be black people to voice the characters? Would that matter to you?
Animated or live action?
Animated.
Both. Yes.
Yeah.
The easy answer is yes. Yeah. That's because we've been in pitch rooms and things like that, and there's a compromise point where there's a lot of things we could change about the series.
Sure.
Top to bottom. But yeah, if it came down to, do you mind if we do a soul move on this? The new Pixar, they did it and it's still successful. Nah, it's okay. Let's do a casting call and see. Yeah. There's not a lot of young black male voice actors in the industry. There's a ton of young black and/or because female voices are very versatile.
Sure.
They can sound like a little kid.
Yeah.
And they can sound, they have this whole gamut that they can go through, a range, right? But not so much for young black teenagers. That's something I look forward to.
It's a very weird in between of a voice for a black teen, especially a black male teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a lot. It's not a lot to pick from either because they don't get work. So Correct. It's one of those things. Again, the industry said, "Well, we just can't find it, so let's use Jake or something." Because Jake has done 38 different character voiceovers, but he's white and he can sort of sound black, or he can kind of bring. And now, granted, voice talent. To me, voice talent is somebody that can really do voice impersonation. Is a real skill. Yeah, absolutely real. It's not to say that they can't find somebody that can sound. Yes, those people really study the cadences and speech patterns, and they're really talented. There's some very skilled. Yeah, but no, it would matter. It would matter a great deal. Just like everything else, we have a lot of. Me and Greg, like Greg said, we were working. We could have been rich a long time ago, y'all, if we didn't care. about or have standards or have these morals that we actually care about as creators. We could have made some crap and be like, we don't care what you do. You can have a Hispanic, white.
That reminds me of the black version of Tara Strong, because Tara Strong does a lot of work. But who's the black version? Cree Summer.
Correct. Cree get all the work.
Yeah. And it's hard to do black male. As a female, they have such a large range.
Think about the Boondocks.
Regina King.
However,
had to do young boy voices. Yeah.
Right.
I was about to say.
I want to before we lose it off the screen. I want to just. I got it. J. Robert Deans has a question. J. Robert Deans makes children's books centered around animals. Is there a way to include black life experience without relying on cultural stereotypes or just dropping in a panther? How do you do it without it seeming or what
right? If it's going to be enforced or not.
Yeah. Ty?
I'm ready for it.
I think the answer is actually in the question, because he didn't mention black skin color. He mentioned black culture. And I think that's the thing. Like, you can stick a black culture on any skin color, any animal, any alien. That doesn't matter. And as long
like you can't get but let's be hold on, let's be real about this. You cannot put the black life experience on a chimp.
Nope.
Why not?
No.
Why not?
No.
Why not?
Hold on. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because
I'm ready.
I just set up my
Greg just lean back like, yep.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you why. Because unless it ain't even unless. It is because for so long, monkeys, gorillas, anything like that has been used in a derogatory way towards black people. And so the moment you do that, especially if you are a white creator, The moment people know you're white, it's going to be an issue. It's not to say it can't be. It's not to say it can't be done, but it can't be done because if you do that, no matter what your intentions are, like we know, not all of us on the panel, but a lot of us on the panel know J. Robert Deans. We know that he is an incredible and a stand-up gentleman.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why he's asking a question like this. Right. So we would know, but we could not successfully defend J. Robert Deans if he made a character that favorite rap group or had a favorite rap group was a monkey.
I'm gonna disagree, but I'm gonna fail at it. And here's my only
okay, sure, why not?
Hey, shoot your shot.
Come with the facts, but hey, try
show all the cards. There you go.
So I think it's important that just like my example earlier, like black people can be aliens, blah blah, and you can still know that they're black, even though they're not portraying this thuggish or uneducated character. You can still know that character, whether they are humanoid black or not, they're still black.
Y'all ever seen the Backyardigans?
What?
The Backyardigans.
Backyardigans? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. PB. Yeah, I watched it.
I was
them songs was banging, man. Those are some great songs.
I was going to bring up Zootopia. I was going to bring up Zootopia.
Sure.
Like, people can portray or argue the fact that some of the characters are white, Hispanic, black, blah blah blah, but
correct.
None of them are portrayed in a manner that is ignorant, and I think that's where I'm presenting the argument as you can have a character that is portrayed as black as a chimpanzee or a monkey, whatever you want to call it, as long as it's not ignorant. Now, would you get backlash? Would you get backlash? Yes. Yeah. I'm not. That's why I said I was going to fail at this argument, but I think it's possible. When you're coming correct.
All things are possible, but I mean, listen. If you write a book and every character in the book, if it is about chimpanzees, if all the characters are some sort of primate, and you have characters that are of all kinds of backgrounds, right? Then sure, you can pull it off, right? If you're doing a book that has a cast of characters and there are different animals, you got to be real careful about making the character that would be seen
because of the stigma.
Black, you can't make
the stigma that's already put in place. Absolutely, 100% correct. Correct. You've got to find some kind of workaround so that the black person is not the monkey. And listen,
and I think this is important. So Richard is asking on Kristen's behalf. You didn't have to throw. First of all, let me just say, Richard, you didn't have to throw Kristen out there like that. I just want to say you didn't have to do that. But I want y'all to know this is a safe place. We want y'all to ask us the questions. Here's the thing. In M'Baku and Black Panther, listen, growing up, I thought Black Panther was corny. And I thought Black Panther was corny because a lot of characters if they were superheroes, straight up, they got to be Black Goliath. You know what I'm saying? You got to be Black Panther. Like, he could have just been Panther. He ain't had to be Black Panther. He could have just been Panther. You know what color he is, as unnecessary to do it. But in the time in which the character was created,
it fit.
Right? Let's call a spade a spade. I think in M'Baku,
because all of the Marvel characters had some kind of real life representation.
Okay, I listen. I agree.
And so, like, you got the mutants that were black people, and Magneto was Malcolm X, and Charles Xavier was Martin Luther King, right? Sorry. But then you also, like, the Black Panther and Wakanda were the Black Panthers. They were giving back to the community. They were like like you said, Spider-Man. Spider-Man was Stan Lee's way of saying, can you just be neighborly? Can you just be neighborly? It's in the name. The friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Captain America, be a patriot to your country. Like, everyone had a real life representation of that time. So that was Black Panther's persona as okay. Go ahead.
I think that a character like M'Baku,
I think what you actually need to do again, just for actually, I was saying just for people that may not understand why that question about M'Baku came up. I think maybe you need to explain a little bit of where that came
with the
from.
gorilla.
Because I don't think some people will understand exactly.
Yeah,
right.
M'Baku represents a character known in the comic book as Man-Ape.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just make it very clear that while I think it is a very important question, please note that they did not call him Man-Ape.
Correct.
In that movie.
Mm-hmm. Period.
No, at all.
They were not referred to, even though he wore a mask that was representative of an ape. But
that was more cultural.
Right? It felt more cultural, and it felt correct in terms of the way that it was. I think that the difference between
it was represented extremely well.
Right. And look, realistically, there isn't anything wrong with, I think that a lot of people would think in that setting where you're in Africa and you have people who live near animals that look like that, to see and feel like your tribe gets a sense of strength from what you see as maybe the strongest animal is one thing, right? What do you say? And M'Baku's performance in Black Panther felt like some of the tribes I know about in Africa. It didn't feel out of place at all. And again,
they
did it right.
I get that, right? And it's placement. It is taking place in Africa. It feels and shows respect to what that is. Sort of like what Tyrone was saying. It's not something where you're showing them as, it's not a derogatory representation in any way specifically. But again, that character was never referred to as Man-Ape.
Not once.
I think the reason it worked. I think the reason it worked the way they introduced it. It was two different cultures that worshipped an animal.
Correct.
If you didn't hear how many times they said Bass, how many times they said praise Bass or Bass, the Wakandan tribe worshipped the panther god.
Right.
The Jabari worshipped, and it's what is it? Hanuman.
Hanuman.
I don't know how to say it. Yeah. Hanuman, and that's a an actual an ape god. So the way they introduced them wearing a gorilla mask versus Black Panther wearing a panther mask, it wasn't out of place in the context that they had different belief systems.
And also,
I would say
it was in line with the main text. Yeah.
Right.
And also keep in mind that and also keep in mind the fact that we only dived into the Wakanda tribe and M'Baku's tribe. Those were the only two tribes that we dived into. But if you think about some of the other tribes that were represented that we did not dive into, like the River tribe, the people with the lip disc, they're the River tribe. What was their color? Green. It was most likely reptilian. Right. And so, and so there were other things that we just didn't dive into, but there were other animals and tribes and belief systems that we could have gotten into. We just couldn't get into it with a movie. Maybe, hopefully, we can get into it with the miniseries or the show. Yeah. But that's one of those things, going back to J. Robert's question, was just like, this is something that could have gone really, really wrong, but there are ways to go about it that are proper and not offensive.
Sure. I mean, look, Marcus in the chat brought up Rafiki from The Lion King, right? Voiced by Robert Guillaume.
Yep.
Right? Black actor. But let's keep it a buck. Robert Guillaume, best known for Benson, you know, and Lion King takes place in Africa, an African savannah, and still doesn't pass the rule of 3. It's like James Earl Jones and Robert Guillaume, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Right?
Can I add to the answer? I just want to answer his question, which is to say, if the question was, can you put something that I guess, and this is a question that you have to be careful with what you're asking. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to put a trope or some sort of stereotype into your character, it takes a little bit more care, similar to how they did with researching. Ryan Coogler and the costume designer went to these countries in Africa. They didn't just make it up. Mm-hmm. They didn't just say, well, let's just do some feathers and stuff and maybe that'll feel African. They literally went to the language. Yeah, they studied the people, they studied the cultures, and they crafted something unique based on something that they studied. So to say, I like the idea that he said, if you're trying to make a I don't know if it's a children's book or a comic or a cartoon or whatever, if you're making a children's book, children's book, then I think the best case scenario to help children not to make that distinguish, because you can teach that, you can unlearn, you can basically present something new to a group of children that set the standard for that child forever, which is make all the characters, be apes or whatever. And if you want to install Hispanic culture, or French or Native American, you literally go study what makes that culture unique and put that into a character. Write that into a character, and then not stereotypes, not saying, well, our black apes, they walk like this. They don't do that. Mm-hmm. Right. Which is talk to someone, a friend, someone you care about. If you're a white writer or a black writer, whatever, it doesn't matter. Empathy allows you to say, teach me. Let me see your perspective from your eyes. And let's say you have a black ape character that's like Miles from Into the Spider-Verse, right? They didn't have to explicitly go heavy-handed with Miles' blackness, right? He was from Brooklyn. He was from, and the way I just love the fact they started with him drawing something that was around his city. Something that he was the first character. As soon as he started, I was like, wait, he's doing graffiti. Wow, he's tagging he's sketching urban lifestyle based on where you're from, the music, everything about him felt his family when he's trying to leave, the kids as they're talking to him. It felt like something that, common to, if you've grown up in that environment, you don't have to say, well, he's the black one. It just feels natural because they probably either talked to some of the actors or, got that information firsthand. And I think that's the way, if you put it in a children's book, go with that route. I definitely say don't distinguish that there's a chicken, there's a cat, there's this, and then try to make the black people the apes and say, well, it's okay because...
The best example that I can give of that is the X-Men, because there's white people, there's Hispanic people, there's Asian, like every culture and humanoid race is represented within the mutants. However, that the mutants are represented, a representation of marginalized group of people.
Sure.
And so it wasn't like the black people were, all of the black mutants were, crap. Who were the ones that lived in the sewers?
The Morlocks.
The Morlocks.
Like, it wasn't like all the black mutants were the Morlocks. That's not the case.
Hey, that would have been a problem.
that would have been a cancel culture at its finest.
Right.
But not back then.
I mean,
But
there wasn't cancel culture didn't really exist then. They might have been able to get away with it. I mean, I think there's something important about that.
Like, wait a minute.
Remind me to get back to. I will come back to cancel culture. But the point, but the point being, yeah, I'm gonna get there. The point being, like, you can't make a culture one thing, one specific thing. Like, Black people are just as multi-layered as Hispanic people. You've got Spain and you've got South America. Like, they're just as multifaceted and multi-layered, and Black people are just as multifaceted and multi-layered, just like
as anybody else.
So
I think one of the things that you I mean, look, listen, let's just keep it a buck. I'm gonna tell you something. I fit a lot of the stereotypes for Black people. I fit a lot of them. I do too. And you know what I mean? And it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I do believe that all stereotypes are based in some level of reality. You just can't pigeonhole people into one thing. So the kinds of music I love, or the types of games that I play, the types of shows that I watch, the types of entertainment that I enjoy, I don't think you can pigeonhole me because of my skin. But it is still super surprising to people when they find out I like a particular music. When they find out that I watch a particular type of show. Like, now people know and recognize me as a geek, and so anything that falls under that umbrella, right? They're like, hey, did you see such and such? They ask me specifically, right? Like, oh, I know you watching Game of Thrones. What you think about Game of Thrones? I don't watch that. That joint's garbage.
I had somebody try to pigeonhole me into something the other week. They asked me, oh, what you gonna go do? Go home and listen to like some rock and roll and this and that. I'm like, no, I'm going home listen to Drake on the way home, and
right.
Like, what, just because I read comics and all that kind of stuff means that's the music. No, come on now, like it's
that's
2020 or 2021 now.
I've gotten similar to that. It's just like, whether it's Drake or something, like, no, I'm riding all the way home listening to Disturbed. Like,
hey, bro, listen, we make fun of you for listening to Creed all the time.
Hey, I listen to Creed.
Oh, I love Creed.
But listen, but it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Creed is a white band. It's just because it's Creed. It's not like
I don't care.
I wait for Ellis to comment because I know it's coming.
I love Creed.
Creed is Nickelback.
Nickelback
hey,
and
Nickelback is on it too.
Y'all can get out of my face. I love it.
Hey, listen, I love it. Real talk. We just make fun of jokes because we can, because it's not like when I make fun of him, I'm not actually singing the song. Like, I be singing the jokes.
Singing the song to make it
fun. Not open.
Yeah, like, what? Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's just one of those things where I think Cuddy in the comments, he makes a good point, right? Young kids don't see color and race. His daughters were born in Hawaii. And preschool to kindergarten, the youngest would say she's Hawaiian, even though she's really Black and Chinese, right? Like that's the culture, right? Hawaiian is the culture that she was growing up in, right? Nah, you're not playing.
See, I knew Ellis was coming. No,
wow, that's music volume 27.
Ellis, you know exactly where I learned from Creed. Creed came straight from watching WWF. Man, when they gave Trips that package when he came back from tearing the quad or whatever it was.
Hey, dog, sing the song. Sing it, Jokes.
Nah.
Sing it, Jokes.
Which one?
It doesn't matter because they all sound the same. They all sound the same. That's where I'm at.
So do all Nickelback songs. So do all Adele songs.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Real talk.
That's what you're coming out to on your next performance?
Yeah, that's what they sound like. Think about it.
No
words.
What's the band that they sound like they're singing vowels? A-I-O.
Grunge band in the 90s.
Yeah, almost any grudge band in the 90s. Grudge was a whole thing.
It was a whole mood and a half.
It's a whole thing. So
a whole mood.
I wanna take the last 15 minutes or so and kind of give everybody who's on the panel. I want you guys to have an opportunity to talk about whatever you're working on, what kind of stuff that you have. Hey, listen, we love Pearl Jam. Like, see, we wouldn't make fun of jokes for liking Pearl Jam. It's just Creed. It's just you know what I mean? Like we don't. It's not. That's not it.
That's the one.
You know what I mean? Hey, listen, Doctor Who, Steve Miller, Almond Band, Most Def. Like I'm all about it. I'm all over the place. My musical love is crazy.
I'm in the same boat too.
Crazy.
You like country?
Well, I've had to dance ballet, so like
I love me.
Me too.
It's all
Me
good.
too. I did tap, jazz, ballet, you name it, all of that. Would you just ask, Henry?
What's the hottest theme song?
I said you like country.
Yeah, I like some country.
Nah, stay away from it.
Frosty hates it.
I don't know if I can.
That's cool.
As someone who's had to teach ballroom for 8 years, one of the best times I've ever gone out dancing was country dancing.
Hey, listen, line dancing is a thing.
Not line dancing, country
but I don't
dancing.
want
I'm talking about country dancing.
that's unnecessary.
Because you can't sit there and be like.
That's just unnecessary.
Mari.
Oh, shit, that offensive. That was offensive.
I never realized white people had more line dancers than black people until I went country dancing.
Facts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Facts. Yes, he does teach ballroom.
Oh, yes,
and
he is ballroom.
incredible.
He is fire.
Well, you better not jump in unless you ready. Not jump in that line unless you're ready, because they
Nope.
don't
matter.
Nope.
No, it don't matter what type of music.
Country music
plays,
makes
that dude Ty gonna get on it. It don't matter what type of music it is.
Hey Frosty, listen. We're not getting ready to do this. We're not getting ready to do this.
Hey,
You know what?
hey, Marcus. If there's some ballroom dance, I guarantee you there probably is one. I guarantee. Saying you need to find it. I guarantee
I
you
already
there
got
is
it.
one.
It's on the Plex. I
Talk
already
to
got
me.
it. It's on the Plex. Let's go look it up.
Ellis, get out of the chat.
Hey,
Get out of
Ellis,
the chat, Ellis. I'm done with you.
Oh, Lord.
It's a 50 inch this
Selling
time.
your TV now?
Oh,
Listen. Yeah, listen.
Where are we at?
Listen, I'm not, but let me just one more time, Ellis. I'm not buying her a new TV. I'll buy me a new TV and give her my old TV.
oh my God.
We're not doing that. You love Hootie and Country Darius, right? I mean, listen. I like some of everything. I like all kinds of music. I don't like all music, but I like all kinds of music.
No,
Country,
I don't like
pain.
all music either.
I mean,
Not
they
all of
sing
it.
about pain in their life, but like,
So does everybody.
But that
yeah.
you like this because
Sugar
the black
Land
thing
is-
is 100% real.
As a dancer, I feel all music. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
All right.
Yo, let's go back. She says country is painful. Look, all I gotta say, watch the Trolls movie, the second movie, and it's just depressing. It's really just depressing.
Yeah, man.
You need to get out,
What
bro.
do you mean?
You need to get out some more.
Okay, yes, I understand that. I just
didn't like the
so
second
many
Trolls
fucking times. You don't even
Hey,
know.
listen, dog. I'm gonna make
We
a
were trying to
simple
ask a
recommendation
question.
for you. Just listen to Sugarland Stuck Like Glue, bro. That's all you need, man. That'll start your morning off right. That's all I'm gonna say.
I know wagon
that's
wheel.
all I'm
You ain't like
what I
wagon
mean?
wheel. Damn, Joe.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
Hey, look.
Katie was trying to ask a question.
We so I mean, we on the rails, but I guess really like right now the point is that like we really for so long we've been pigeonholed, right? And I think for a long time we pigeonholed ourselves. Like there was like when I was in high school, it wouldn't have been okay to say that I like country music. Now I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like what I like. You know what I mean?
Stigma's a real
Dolly
thing.
Parton Jolene is fire. Let me tell you something. Let me listen.
Okay. Oh.
That Hannah Montana Jolene, that thing smashed Dolly Parton's joint. Like to no end. Like to no end. I you know what? I'll send it to you. That's
like-
dope.
I mean,
You ain't got to send it to
just
me.
like Whitney Houston,
Not sending it to you.
smash Dolly Parton.
Well, yes. I will always love you. Dolly Parton, country joint. Most people didn't even
Fact.
know because she
Fact.
R&B'd it up.
Fact.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Miley, she bodied Jolene, like real talk. I'm glad you have it. All right, so look, let's do this. I'm gonna start with you, MaJiK Mike. Let's give you some spotlight, man. Look, just let's give everybody. We have your Facebook. We can put up so everybody can. If you guys are in the chat, jokes, throw that in the chat so that the link slides so people can hit that.
Let me get MaJiK spotlight right quick though. We gonna give him a spotlight.
MaJiK Mike in the house.
All right, let me show
MaJiK
you guys a little quick something.
Yeah.
The only like few things that I've been really working on. I've been working on this piece for well over a year now, but I'm still working. You know, obviously,
that's dope.
Kind of the both side, you know, both halves. I'm working on this. It's a negative Batman. So basically, it's if you take a negative image, the drawing should look correct. If that makes sense.
Right. Oh yeah, that's dope. So if you like, take a picture of it and flip it to negative, it'll be the right.
Oh,
exactly. Right. So I'm working on that. So I've been working on those, but with the time and motivation, not really gotten there. But then I got, like I said, I got this one. I'm working with something different. Will Smith portrait with splash of color, get some detail, and then fade it out. Other than that, I haven't really been working on anything. I mean, like y'all know, I got the 2 kids, so I basically watch them all day. Life works. Thank you, Dave.
Your beard.
Hey, hold up, Gabe. Hold on a second. I want you to pause for a second. Right, yeah, pause for a second and try it again. Nah.
Sound like a transformer and shit.
I am.
Nah, this is that Wayne Tech.
Yeah,
if y'all know, whenever he starts going to rant about Bruce Wayne or Batman, this happens to his connection every single time. Every single time.
Preemptive strike. Batman came on the screen. Wayne Tech just said, "Forget this. Shut him down right now."
They hate me.
I know you sound like you was back for a second.
Frosty says because of the Trash Country playing in the background. I don't know.
I'm gonna reprogram your Echo to play nothing but country music. Listen, I feel like it's good. You said you felt motivated to get back to doing some work, man. I'd love to see you keep doing that. We love you and we're super supportive. So everybody, make sure y'all click on that link in the chat. Go follow MaJiK Mike. Mike, look, being stuck in the house with 2 kids for a year, it certainly forced some gray to the front of your beard.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, it's not like spotty. I'm like, okay, I can gray here. If I start graying here, cool. Have that cool Mr. Fantastic type
I was
of
about to say, you want the Mr. Fantastic going.
Little salt and pepper.
Exactly.
I'm with it.
Otherwise, I gotta start, get that. What the hell they call that? That Cocoa Brown or some shit.
No,
just for men.
If you Beijing your beard, we're gonna fight.
Don't get no just
Beijing your beard, we're gonna fight.
Why?
Why? You talking about that?
Look good.
Listen, Tyrone, talk to us, man. Tell us what you're working on. What's happening with Elements of Light, bro?
Listen, what is happening with Elements of Light?
You're writing something new.
I am writing something
Elements
new.
of Light anyway.
So Elements of Light is on pause because I'm broke.
Okay.
I'm just put that on Front Street because I produced that myself.
Hey, there's things out there to help with that.
And each issue cost me $7,000. So there's that.
That's okay.
I'll link my Venmo later.
Sounds like a Kickstarter.
I was gonna say GoFundMe was happening.
I think you need to hit a Kickstarter, my friend.
Yeah,
that sounds like you need to start an OnlyFans. Fuck that.
Hey, look, Mike's signing up.
He's right.
I thought about it. Don't. we ain't even finna go. We ain't finna go there. I thought about it. Okay. None of anybody's business.
This dude said $7,000. Like, nah, son.
Yeah, that's a fact.
You saying nobody's business? There you go.
Pause, but that's cool. Hey, look, J. Robert Dean said you can vouch. Self-publishing is super costly. I get it.
I'm self-published, and I actually hired 2 artists for Elements of Light. Right. They are twin brothers. They do amazing work, and I pay them for that amazing work.
Fair enough.
Currently, I am writing a novel series, which is a sci-fi. More details to come. and animated film, The Will of Monsters, is currently being produced that I wrote the script for. Super excited about that. And this is like, so I had gotten the concept from my older brother, who is the animator, the lead animator and the concept creator.
Okay.
And it's not a short. It's a short film by time only. It's like it's like an hour and 15-minute film.
Yeah, that's not short. That's not how that works.
That's not.
I don't think that's how math works.
So technically, a short film is anything under an hour and a half.
All right. Okay. We'll take technically.
Right.
Listen, y'all make sure y'all go follow at least follow Elements of Light. So
please
update on everything else that's happening.
Let me feel loved a little bit, even though
Dr. Who said she wants to do some voice work. You know what I mean?
Hey. Listen, I'll make it happen.
Okay, there it is. Hey. Go follow.
Shit, you let some damn voice work.
Yeah, listen. Marcus, since Greg made the bounce out.
Yeah.
Let's talk to you for a minute. I know you got some things popping.
Yeah.
We got things. We got things. We got them things. This is actually a commemorative issue that we did for Black History Month. This is Tuskegee Heirs issue 2. We actually did not change the interior of the book. We just wanted to use one of our covers to do something for Black History Month to commemorate these amazing real life aviators. We have information about them on the back.
Yeah. That's dope.
We did a limited run, so this is very limited. Thank you to everybody that actually went online and supported. We went live, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago.
Like right at the beginning of February.
Yeah, a lot of people got this. We only printed a handful of these. We also have, I think Greg stole my sepia version. I'm gonna go with that. Greg stole it, so I don't have it. But
Greg, you got the sepia version?
You know what? Hold on.
Hold up. Let me bring him up right quick.
I think he's a liar.
Nice.
What he's talking about.
God, that's beautiful.
There you go.
I'm always so jealous of people that can actually make art. I'm so jealous of that.
Hey,
no,
you are making art. You just write it.
It's like music. Everybody can start. They think it's some sort of magic thing. If everybody approached art the way if you sat down at a piano for the first time, you're not anticipating like I'm about to play Mozart on my first try. No one does that. And if you try to play a piano for the first time, you're gonna play some rubbish, like some gibberish, and then you'll say, "Oh, well, I don't practice. I've never practiced piano." People don't approach art like that. They say, "Well, I tried to draw once, and I was terrible at it." Once, your first time.
First time.
Okay, so did I. I just kept going though. So it's not magic. It's not. There are some mutants out there. I've met some 12-year-olds that are on like a 30-year-old level. But literally, man, it's not magic. It's just a skill, and passion. Falling in love with practice will get you there. But yes, TuskegeeHeirs.com. We're still working on that. We just released 4 is our latest issue. We're going to start work on number 5. We're going to do 6 shortly after that. Greg and I are still planning to do the cartoon. There's if you said greenlit, if someone doesn't green light this animated project, man, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna I can't wait for the world to see the importance of it, man. I'm just we may just have to go ahead and
talk to me.
We can't just keep waiting on somebody to say, okay, we approve it. I'm sorry, we're just gonna do it we're gonna put it on our backs and figure out how to make this thing come to life via the current landscape of entertainment. It doesn't have to be on TV necessarily. It doesn't have to. Everything's being streamed anyway. Correct. So there's plans. We're not gonna stop that goal, and that's gonna come to pass. So TuskegeeHeirs.com. Just put a .com on the back of that.
Boom.
Where on that link there, and you guys can support. You can buy the graphic novel. We have 3 issues sandwiched together for volume 1, or you can buy the issues individually. It's an all ages book. We've literally tested this on 3rd graders and 50 plus. So adults, and we didn't dumb down the story. Me and Greg write the comic together. A lot of meticulous planning goes into each issue to say it's entertainment that you don't know you're learning while you're reading it, but you actually can spotlight a lot of things. Issue 2, for example, the kids are in Mexico and they come upon Olmec head, and we literally have gone to shows where people have never heard of an Olmec head. And this is a real statue. This is ancient culture that did this. It predates Christopher Columbus and all that crap. So pretending like he found America, stuff like that. So, but it's nuggets. It's not heavy-handed like, oh, this happened and so and so. You know, so it's very, very appropriate for the family audience. But yeah, it's something that we would have loved to see as kids. Greg is doing something called the Search for Sadaka. Tell him about that Search for Sadaka, Greg.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
It's a comic.
Mr. Burnham.
I love that poster.
It's a comic book. It's another comic book that I be doing. We actually, I just got the final colored art for the next issue. So yeah, I was trying to push to get it out by the end of this month. It's gonna be tough because I did a Kickstarter for it. It's gonna be tough, just because we're already in the middle of the month, but definitely it'll be going out in March, no later. Okay. And it's a historical action adventure. It actually takes place like in 1921. This young lady, and remember, it's based off of history, but it's a little bit different than Tuskegee Heirs because I'm kind of making up a story around it. But the young lady flees the Tulsa race riots, the massacre is what I like to call it. And so she's going to go on this long journey across the Southwest United States where she finds her inner hero. But she has a goal. She's looking for like a mythological set of ancestors, like people that she thinks she belongs to. So almost done with that. I don't know if you guys heard the, I always say it wrong, but the Noir is the new black or something. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Noir is the new black?
Yeah. We got a piece in there, me and Marcus.
I didn't know that.
It's the 3rd one. They just released the digital and the physical book. It will be coming out soon. Then I got other stuff that I'm working on, but I don't really want to talk about it until there's more to show.
Okay. That's fair. Marcus, are you still working with the folks behind Not Our Girls?
Well, yeah, she's I talked to her recently. She wants to do some different poses for the girls, and she's actually gonna do some playing cards, informational cards, like a card game that goes with everything. And so, I was talking to her recently. It's just, man, when I say swimming in work, I have been swimming in work, man. And it's my life is about to do this way, and I'm gonna have to literally break away from freelance, man. It's gonna be a new plateau. So I told her, listen, I could do some stuff, but it's gonna be a whole new world for me in a minute, man. But yeah, she's still doing some great stuff, and she actually has, if you ever, I don't know if you're ever in Atlanta, you may see her riding around streets. She has wrapped her vehicle. And all of that artwork, that I did with her characters, man. It's beautiful. So she gets all these kind of people looking and taking pictures of her car while she drives. So Not Our Girls, for anybody that doesn't know, it's a brand from this wonderful lady who said she wants to combat sex trafficking. And she's targeting. She asked me to design some superhero young girls that represent all of the things that parents and people can do to combat sex trafficking and educate young girls and women about sex trafficking. So that was it was a great brand, stuff like that. So she's still definitely doing some things. But I talked to her recently, so she's still going.
That's good. Good. Super important. Glad to see that project up and running. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Henry Brooks, talk to us about this rebranding,
Okoye beads,
fire, this wood burning, this artwork. Talk to us. What's going on with you, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually always, you know me, I'm always trying to be like a mad scientist with my work and always mess with something new. So yeah, I've been trying to get more commissions and stuff like that. To get my my art into help me set up my URL right before we started. So now you can find me at Immortal Fire, and that'll take you straight to my Etsy shop.
Okay.
Nice. Nice.
I know you worked on some stuff recently. Do you have any of that? I know you just did the bracelets.
Oh yeah, it's all behind
you. Have any of that stuff with it? Everything's up behind you. Oh yeah.
That's the hand and hand painted and put polyurethane finish on each bead.
That's dope.
Every single bead.
Yeah. That's dope, man. Yep. It's some solid work. So listen, I think everybody in the chat. Look at that.
That's nice.
It's clean.
Dope.
I love that.
Like a backsplash or some shit.
I love that.
Yeah, man. How long did that take you? So you're burning that into the wood, and then are you painting over that?
I'm actually a marker. And I'm also using this white. Like where is it at? That one.
What he needs to do is have a channel, and then you tune into the channel to see how it's done. That's what he needs to do.
I'm not mad at that.
Not mad at all.
That's not bad. But so what I did was I took a whiteout marker. After I burned everything in, I burned everything. It's burned. And then everything. And then
you losing you a little bit.
And yeah, okay.
I need that in my life.
It took me like more than a day and a half.
I just can't hear you super well.
I need that in my life.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, you're all right.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. I see Kristen said they got 6 pieces of your work. And I know your work is in the shop, right? Is that you've got stuff up at Comic Logic, right?
Yeah, my work at Comic Logic. And I think Rob's got this in Wednesdays for walk-ins. I think walk-ins is Saturdays and Sundays, and I think every other day is curbside, but you can definitely find my work.
Yes.
Ashburn. You can also find my work at Bazaar. It's Bazaar in person.
Okay.
Right.
I dig it. Hey, Jokes.
Yo.
Hey, what you working on? Let me see your artwork. What you got,
my
bro?
artwork.
Yeah, let me see what you got.
My art. What am I?
I was like, what is Jokes working on? Hold on. Do I not know something?
Like what you're seeing
do I not know something?
The moving stuff around and doing all. I guess that's kind of my artwork. The editing video. I guess that's my art. I mean, I can upload the little trailer that I did for Spoiler Boys. I mean, with the little ending, you actually hear my voice in there.
I need this in my life.
Solid voiceover.
It was.
That was a pretty solid voiceover. I liked it.
Believe it or not, that was actually second run. You know why? Because I actually wrote that junk down.
Oh, look at my man.
Made it easy.
He's learning.
That's work. So check this out. I wanna take a moment to just thank all of you for joining us to have this conversation. We definitely need to do this more often. I certainly don't want for these kinds of things, these kinds of events to be just because it's Black History Month.
Fact.
Hey, listen.
Hey, J. Robert, I got back what I needed from Extra Life. So
I mean,
hey, I'm good.
We made some money. We saved some. We you know what I mean?
Hey, it was for the kids.
It was
I
for the
shaved
kids.
mine.
Yeah.
Ended up having to shave his off too. It took a little bit longer.
I'm back, baby. Can't do that again.
Look at
That happened again.
so, and can I tell you, I can say this now. You look terrible.
Oh, I know I look terrible.
Yeah,
The second I looked up in the mirror, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be horrible." But
I wasn't gonna say it, but
Oh.
yeah, man, you look way better as Teddy Pendergrass.
I need this gotta stay.
Way better.
This ain't going nowhere.
Hey, but it was for a good cause. It was for the kids. So hey,
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to make about it.
I want to make sure we take a minute to I want to thank all you all for joining us. You know, I'm positive y'all could be doing anything else right now. Like, you know, Greg could probably be asleep. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I just got off work.
See, you know what I mean? You probably could be relaxing, maxing. I mean, you look like you got a little wine though. You know, you're with us. Yeah, I think this is a really cool thing. I want to thank Henry for for having an idea of doing something like this. I do think it's important. You know, we don't want to let Black History Month just continue to be like a flavor of the month kind of thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
So we are going to be looking at doing more things like this throughout the year. But I thank you all for taking the time. I know from are they asleep, Mike?
One of them is.
Okay.
The other one I heard running around like maybe 10 minutes ago. I'm like, yo, you're 3. Go to bed. What are you doing?
I don't think that's how that works. I don't know.
Right.
That's because
I just say that, and he should look at me and go, okay. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like,
Facts. Thank you very much, Frosty. All right, so look, we got to do our regular run at our end of the show run. So here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Lois Nash Crew will be back on Thursday for cutscenes, talk video games, because that's what we do every Thursday. We get together, we talk video games. Friday, we're going to be on Twitch, 8 p.m. What we playing, Sin?
Gears of War 5, going through that DLC we haven't got to yet.
All right. Gears of War 5, Judgment, Friday, 8 o'clock on Twitch. Jokes, if you would throw the Linktree link up, I greatly appreciate that.
It's in there.
Do me a favor and make sure you put the grab the Comic Logic Facebook link and put that in there too for me, please.
Period.
So anybody who's in the chat, if you're following us in one place, please follow us everywhere else. It just really helps us out. I know some people are on Twitch and some people are on YouTube and some people are on Facebook and some people are on Twitter. So wherever you're following us, if you're not following us somewhere else, you can jump on that link and follow us across the board, including on Patreon. We want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. So, Sin, if you wouldn't mind doing your job.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dorsch, and Tyrone Carson. We thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
We sure do. We really do. Okay, so a couple more things, little housekeeping. Look, Friday mornings have turned into like I can't sleep until
3 a.m.
because WandaVision. So
Child.
Look,
Child.
if you're not already a member of the MCU chat, our private MCU chat that we have,
I caught up just for this conversation. We didn't even talk about it.
Well, we're not because but we can have a different conversation about it if you want. Jump in the MCU chat. Feel free.
I'm ready.
So listen. So MCU chat is our private chat that we have on Facebook specifically so that people can jump in. We have an area there that is just for spoilers. So you can go in there and not be afraid of spoilers. Every single week, we are recording our thoughts on each episode. And then on Mondays, we drop those. We drop a short version, like a 15-minute version of MCU chat for anybody to go watch and comment on. 45-minute to an hour version, that's in Patreon. That's what I may be able to let folks
see. I think I can let folks actually see the little clip right quick. Hold on, let's see right quick.
Oh boy, here we go.
We're gonna mess with stuff.
Hey, I feel confident about this. Everything's been working good, so we're gonna go ahead and do that right quick. Hold on.
While he's getting that,
I got it already. I got it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Now, hold on. Let's see. See if this one works.
See if it works.
Hey, I gotta see if it works.
He will test new stuff out tonight.
Stop it. It's right here. Stop it.
While he does that,
do they show him like the actor, actress, and everything, or do they just name drop?
No,
I think they show.
They're gonna show her. They're gonna meet. I feel like they're gonna meet face to face, and it's like what's going on or whatnot ever. And you know what? Make sure you check out our show Spoiler Boys every Monday in our MCU chat on Facebook for our short review, and for our full impressions, join us over on our Patreon. Check our bio for the links. Don't miss out.
Loading snacks.
Hey, listen, Joe. Look, good job, man.
Brother.
Good job, brother. You can tell when somebody proud of their work, man. Now I'm gonna put this in here. Watch me test something brand new.
Right, yeah. Y'all gonna see my work. You gonna watch this?
I'm gonna try to break this real quick so y'all can see it. Hey, listen, Doctor Who, you making a mistake. Waiting to binge.
You need to start watching.
WandaVision.
See, Netflix has spoiled people. You need to watch this how you do shows back in the day. Episode after episode.
Don't do it. Just go ahead, jump in and watch.
Back in the day,
go back to Xena and just watch it when it comes out.
No, don't go watch Xena. Don't do
that. So
don't
what the fuck did he get?
He was like,
Hey, listen. One more time, listen. I appreciate everybody who is in the chat who joined us for this great conversation. Thank you again to all of you for joining us. We're gonna wrap this up. It's so late. So again, thank you. We're the Lawrence Crew. With that, we're out. Toodles and loose.